I've just been planning a load of chats, and I wouldn't call them interviews really, but like chats with some friends of mine, people that I know from around the northeast, but also around the country, basically about freedom, basically about, you know, being sovereign, if you want to call it that, and looking after yourself. And I'm talking about being self-reliant in life, self-reliant about financial things, self-reliant about how you eat, self-reliant about your health, having choices about your own body. You know the type of things I mean. So there's going to be a lot of various different things that we're going to be discussing. One of the things that we were talking about today was debt. So you'll see a guy I was talking to, Petri. He's actually a Finnish guy, but he lives in Sweden. So I think it's a good chat. I've kind of like went in and added things in to make it a little bit easier for him to get the words out, because it's not his native language, obviously. But I think he did very well, and he's had some good success in dealing with debt and the debt collectors, and the way that he's been fighting it. A lot of this is to do with the deed of assignment. Now, you do get two sort of like different versions of debt collectors. Yeah, you've got like the ones that don't have a deed of assignment and don't try and say that they have purchased the debt. What they actually say is that they are acting on behalf of the creditor, the original creditor. So they haven't got any leg to stand on whatsoever, in other words. And the other type, they say, oh, we have purchased the debt, so we have all rights to your debt, and we have got, and this is a notice of assignment. They never ever say deed, right, because they haven't got one. But what they do is they use that word, assignment. They like to use that word and try to confuse and actually worry you into thinking that they actually have a right to it. Now, this is all about contract law, but it's also, you can use things like GDPR as well as DPA. And going in, if it does get as far as going to the court, you can use the civil procedure rules or the court rules from the big green book. You remember the one I've showed you a few times, which would be 31.6, disclosure of the actual documents. Now, I'm actually going to do another video that's going to go really in depth. I actually had a chat with Roy Coughlin on his podcast, and I shared it out there. He's a good guy, very good podcast. It gets loads of views, you know, it got a great following. And I'm going to go back on, I think, in a couple of weeks as well. I was also talking to Callie Spell on her podcast a couple of weeks back. Now, I've just gotten access back to my mailing, my autoresponder, so I'm being able to send out only a few at a time to warm it up, they said. It's got to be warmed up again. So I'm only allowed to send a few out until I can get back to normal work. But normal mailing work. So, yeah, and then we'll be back to normal. But anyway, so I am going to be like really busy. I've got calls. I'm going out to St. Lucia down in the Caribbean, which funnily enough, that's where we got married back so many years ago now, in Rodney Bay. Is it Rodney? Yeah, Rodney Bay. And beautiful place, although I nearly did get drowned there as well. They sent us out when they cancelled all shipping, and the ferries and everything got cancelled, and this guy, he must have needed the money so badly, he's took us out on a kayak. We nearly drowned. Crazy, but it was good. The actual, not that part wasn't, but the rest of it was brilliant. Yeah, so lots of good fun. So anyway, I'm talking to somebody from there. They're not, I don't know if he doesn't live there, but you know, I don't want to give it away, because I'm really looking forward to chatting to him and the others. And once we actually get closer to it, you know, I'm going to be sharing them and spreading them around, trying to help other people as well spread their message. That's what it's all about. It's supposed to be about helping others, helping each other. Actually, I'm talking to Pete Stone tomorrow. Yeah, about you know, his actual course and everything that he does, Sovereign Pete, and he's going over to Cumbria as WTF weekend over in Cumbria, Workington, I do believe. So I'm gonna be there. So I'm gonna go and see him and chat to him there. We get on well. He's a good guy and he does really good work. And there's a few others that are going to be over there. I'm actually on Mark Atwood's show, live show tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, and then he's going to be that WTF weekend as well, so I'll see him over there. So I'm looking forward to that weekend, camping weekend over in Workington. Although I do not believe that I will be camping. I'll be having a slightly more, even up from glamping. I'm going to have a hotel. That would be me. I think, actually, have I already booked all that up? Yeah, I think I have. I think it's already booked up, but it's not too far for me to drive over. I think it's a couple of hours maybe, but there'll be a lot of good people there that we can chat. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to do a lot of videos when I get there. I'm going to do a lot of interviews when I get there with people, and I'm going to do a lot of lives. I'll do it on TikTok and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to being able to mix in with everybody there and having fun as well. Looking forward to it. It'll be good. And this is what it'll be about, though. This is about spreading the good word, spreading the message, and everybody, like what it's supposed to be, helping each other. All right, if you've got channels helping each other as well, that's what the idea is. And then helping people to get through this matrix, talking about Checkmate the Matrix. So on my Checkmate the Matrix platform, it isn't just about sort of like, you know, fighting the cabal, shall we say, and fighting the debt or trying to get rid of council tax or all that. It's trying to outmaneuver them. It's trying to get a better game played. You have got to learn to play a better game of this chess game that we have, or the chess game in life. Now, it's about checkmating them. So putting them into checkmate rather than you always getting into trouble and getting into checkmate. And we do it on various different ways. First of all is like the education on the actual statutes that we have in this country. You can call them law if you like. I don't really believe that they are law whatsoever. Acts and statutes are not law, can never be law, and will never be law. They have to be consented to, and I'm not consenting to any of them. So people always, when I say that, people always say, oh, so what like crimes then do you consent to? And it's not about crimes, you know. Acts and statutes are just acts and statutes. When you commit a crime, then you're committing a crime. So a crime would be going against common law. So you've got, on crimes, you have like murder. I think that's pretty criminal, don't you? That would be a real crime. Then you have obviously theft and stealing, coveting, things like that. You know, that there, violence or committed against other people, then that is actually a crime in the common law. It's got nothing to do with an act and statute. They may tie in an act and statute that ties in with the actual crime itself, but that doesn't mean that we have to consent to their side of it because it's already a crime. So, you know, to go out and harm others. So that's what it's all about, not harming others. And then you can actually live a quality life. That's what it's about. But we also teach people on how to actually become sovereign in their own financial side. So where they can actually, to develop ways of having people give them donations for their sweat equity when they're not working for another company, when they have like a job just over broke. Now, we've been following and studying the investment side of life, be it on cryptocurrency or on gold and silver. I've never looked at stock exchanges apart from the gold and silver part of it. So, you know, when we're listening to these people like Mike Maloney and Robert Kiyosaki, that they're talking about massive financial crashes coming, and it's imminent, and they're protecting themselves in any which way they can through going into different things like cryptocurrency on the decentralized financial side, as well as looking at gold and silver, which is just a storage of wealth. So if you think, and this is the funny thing, what we get, like a lot of people say, well, what's the point of having gold and silver? No one's going to accept it for food or anything, and you're not going to be able to spend it. That's not what we're saying to do. All we're saying is, if you actually have gold and silver stored, it is a storage of your wealth. Okay, you can call that money. So you're storing your money somewhere else. If you put it into a bank, because this is again what people say, oh, I don't want to do that cryptocurrency because I'm scared of it. It's fake. It's very volatile. I want to keep my money safe and put it into a bank. Well, it's not money anyway. It's only fiat currency. And if you're putting it into a bank, you are literally giving it to the bank. And there is no legal comeback for them to give you that money back. So when the banks do collapse, and they are going to collapse, so when they've collapsed, right, how are you going to get your money back? And when you do get it back, if you do get it back, what you're going to get, probably, more than likely, the way that they're actually planning it, is CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, or central bank digital coins, whichever way you want to call it. And that there is going to be you under ultimate control then. They will have a shelf life, they'll run out. They will also have an area life, so if you go out of the area where you're allowed to be in, it won't work. They will be controlling what you can and what you can't use that on. So what you can't spend your money, is what you want to call it, on. Now, the only way that I can see getting it is having a storage of wealth outside of the CBDC trap and also away from a bank. I don't want to have anything in a bank because the bank owns it then. We don't own it. The bank have got control of it. Now you can say, and I do 100% believe, that property is the highest right of man. So you declare that that money in that bank is your private property. That is true. I do believe that. But once the banks close and you shut them all down, who are you going to shout at to actually go and say that's mine because that's my private property? That money that was in that bank was my private property. You're going to be right, but who's going to listen to you and give you anything? That's difficult to actually work out, isn't it? You know, it's the same thing when you talk about, well, it's in my trust, you know, I'll put that in my trust. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like your house, is it? Where if you run into your house and you smash your head on the wall, you know that you can feel it as a tangible thing. You've split your head open. It's a real thing. You can actually see it. You can say, that's mine. That's my private property. But if you're actually saying, well, that inside the bank, you can't see what is inside a bank. Right? You can't grab hold of your little bits of, like, you know, the zeros and the ones that are on a screen. You can't grab them and say they're mine. So, you know, yes, you can say that they're in the trust, but once it's collapsed and it's disappeared and they're saying, oh, they'll probably blame a cyber attack, or they'll probably blame Putin or Jinping or anybody that they can just say and talk the absolute, you know, bollocks about, which is all fake and nonsense and ridiculous. You know, and how are we ever going to get it back to say, well, it's in my trust, it was protected? That, you know, I can't really say. Your house, yes, obviously, and you have your actual documents to prove it. But a bank account, once they've shut it, they've all buggered off. There's nobody to speak to. You know, you can't, like, go in and knock on the door of an empty building. You're not going to get an answer, are you? You know what I mean? So I think we have to look at different ways of protecting our actual assets that I'm talking about, you know, your money, if you want to call it that. So gold and silver is money, and it's a storage of wealth. You can hide that somewhere, as in you're not going to go and put it in a bank, right? Because you're going to lose it anyway. And I would not have it in these certificates. I know I've seen the certificates before. People say, oh yeah, I've got gold, it's in the certificate, and I just have to go in and then they're going to send it to me. I don't fancy that idea at all. That's just me. You do what you like. I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm not giving financial advice, legal advice, or any other type of advice that you can think of. You know, I'm just telling you what I wouldn't like, and I would not rely on certificates of gold or silver or value. And definitely I wouldn't be putting money in a bank and saying, oh, I have savings in the bank. No, right? They've got savings. They're yours, and they're taking them and they're buggering off with them. You know, it's simply only fiat currency anyway, and they're going to cancel it out and replace it with digital currency. So I would be looking and investigating and researching digital currency, especially decentralized digital currency, as much as you can. Will it 100% work? Well, we don't know that because we haven't crossed that bridge yet. What they can't do, the planet, they cannot turn off every single electric supply in the entire universe. Can't do that. So to say, like, oh, they'll just switch off all the electric, you know, and then they'll get rid of all the digital currency, so it's pointless, that's never going to happen. they need to control you by using electricity as well. So there is always going to be electricity. Will they switch everything to zero down in? Well, not if they can't control it. Do they control everything? We're never going to know till it happens. So I tell you what we'll do is, like, as I'm falling off the building and I'm falling down, as I pass each floor, I'm going, so far so good, so far so good, so far so good, and we'll see how it works, right? But what I do know, if you go and stick all of your money into, or your fiat currency into a bank account, then you don't have to worry about what floor you're on. You're going to be hitting the ground before you know it. You're actually standing or starting on ground zero, and you're already finished. And if you don't do anything to protect yourself in the meantime, then also, again, all right, you know, you've got no worries about when the SHTF happens, when it hits the fan. And it is going to hit the fan, I tell you. Is it going to get truly into Mad Max times? Who knows? But we're soon going to find out. That I do believe. But, you know, anyway, so as it goes through, on the debt side, we're going to have a lot more talking about debt. I'm actually going to go through a system, 2 different systems. Would you call them systems? But like procedures, we'll call them. 2 different procedures on how to actually stand up against debt collectors. Now, the reason why you're allowed to stand up against debt collectors is, first of all, the credit is a scam. Because when you actually sign a credit agreement, it's not really a credit agreement. It's actually a promissory note that you're signing, or a financial instrument with a cash value. And then the banks put that cash value into their own accounts, then do some fiddly stuff, and then it appears that there's little digits on your screen that makes it appear as if you've actually borrowed money, but you never have. The banks cannot actually show the accounting to see where that funds come from that were in yours, because they just created it out of thin air with the promissory note or the financial instrument that you give power to with your sign of nature, your signature. Okay, so what happens if you don't start making the repayments enough or in time, or you're struggling? And the thing is that, you know, even if people aren't doing it on purpose, this is the big nasty thing, right? For people, it's horrible. What they've done over the last 4 years is crush businesses, crush jobs, crush morale. So people haven't even got the ability to make these payments or make these repayments. So they're struggling badly. So I want to help people that are in that position. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to show them, if you can't make the payments, then challenge them, right? Once you've stopped, the banks themselves, after a few months, after about 90 days, they're going to cash in the insurance policy they've got against you not paying. So they're going to get even more money, because they didn't give you money anyway. They've made no loss, 0 loss. So then what they do is they actually sell your data, not the debt. They sell your data onto the debt collection agencies. So approximately they'll sell a 10 grand debt for about £200. And then these debt collectors come in with all of their letters and get more and more aggressive. But they've got not a leg to stand on. So if they haven't actually said they've purchased it, if they haven't got a deed of assignment, right, then what that means is they're saying that they're working there as an agency. All right, well, they haven't got a leg to stand on at all. If they haven't got a deed of assignment, they're working as a third-party interloper, then I would just be saying, look, you are a third-party interloper, you've got no deed of assignment, you have no chosen action, which is a thing that can be enforced within a court. And they haven't got that, because they're literally like butting in on something, you know, so you can just get rid of them. They're nothing. They're nothing to actually worry about. So I'm going to show you how to deal with them. But if they do have a deed of assignment, I'm going to show you how to actually go and put them into a position where they, again, have got no leg to stand on. Because we know they haven't got the deed. So what the deed of assignment is they've been assigned it by the bank because they've made a purchase. Okay? So they've literally, because they've purchased this account, supposed to have a receipt for it. The deed of assignment is the receipt. Now on a deed of assignment, what it has to be done, it has to be legally executed. Okay, so if you do like a house and you buy a house, because it all comes under the Law of Property Act, by the way, so a deed under the Law of Property Act, it's all the same thing. Now if you, let's say you transfer a deed of transfer a deed of your house, you've sold it to someone else, and what you have to do is you have to sign as you're executing the deed. So you execute it correctly by this, sign it and date it at the correct time. It has to be signed by you and then witnessed and signed by the witness at the same time. Okay, at the same time, in the same place. They've witnessed you sign it. It hasn't been done a year later, right, or a week later or anything like that, because they have to sign it as a witness to say they watched you sign it. Okay, so a deed of assignment is the same for a debt. It's property. It's still a thing in action. So when the bank, well, let's just say that the original creditor, they're supposed to sign the deed of assignment to say they've sold it, and they have to get it witnessed as well. Then they actually have to have the one they've sold it to, the debt collection agency, have to sign it as a receipt. So that's the way that it has to be done for a deed of assignment to be legally executed. And it never gets legally executed because they're not selling anything. Well, they're not selling the debt, they're selling the data. So they can't admit that because that's actually illegal. So anyway, what happens then is they haven't got a deed of assignment. They're going to keep on pretending they've got a deed of assignment. That's why they keep using these words like notice of assignment, and make people panic and think that they've got a legal right to this debt where they haven't. All right. So we can actually challenge them to produce that. Now they come out of it. There's loads of case law and legislation, including under the Financial Conduct Authority, that states that they have to show that. And they always say, I don't have to do this, don't have to do that. And they make you panic, and they're trying to make people panic. And they usually get huge amounts of profit from this low-hanging fruit, right? What we call low-hanging fruit, i.e. the people that panic and actually pay before they get to court, and they panic about it, think they're going to get dragged through the courts. And in general, people who haven't had the same experience in court, right, haven't been in court as often as I have, or as often as others have, that get themselves purposely in these situations, they don't want to go to court and they panic. But, you know, it's all a game, and you just need to learn how to know the game. Okay, but I just thought I would quickly jump on and do a quick video, you know, and then explain as well about Checkmate the Matrix. That platform there will show people how to actually become sovereign and get a sovereign income, so that they can do it for themselves and replace a job. Okay, instead of having a job at just over broke, they can actually have people giving them donations for their sweat equity. So you're not going to be earning an income. It is a sovereign replacement of income. You don't want income. Okay, so you're just going to get donations for your sweat equity for whatever it is that you're actually going to exchange for people. There is an exchange. All right, but also, not only do you do that, we show you how to create these online sovereign entities, but then we teach you how to actually create protective trusts for yourself as well. Protect your assets from these snakes that are trying to steal it from you, from these parasites. But then we also show you that if you've really got debts and stuff like that, then how to actually get out of them if you need to. All right, and then we do also have little bits of fun stuff like how to fight parking tickets. I don't want to, like, you know, concentrate on stuff like that. I only do that little bit for fun, and it's all contract law, by the way. And I'm not talking about the councils. You know, they are a little bit more difficult. And in reality, you've got to be about sense about where you park. I don't agree with parking across the lines, and I definitely don't agree with parking in handicapped spaces, because people need them, you know, that I've got friends in wheelchairs, you know, and it's very hard on them. So I wouldn't be doing that, and you should be helping man and woman. That's what it's for, helping mankind. That's what we're supposed to be doing. That's why I'm going on that weekend and doing these interviews with others, or chats, I should say, with others on YouTube and that, you know. Anyway, but, you know, on the contract law side, there has to be a meeting of the minds for a contract to be valid, which is what you can actually use to, like, crush these private parking companies. But little bits more about that anyway later. I may actually do a little bit of a video about that soon as well. Okay, so I'll leave that in there for now, and keep an eye out for the videos coming when I'm talking to these other people. They've got great stories to, you know, to tell you, and great services to tell you about, and they've got great conversations to have with me as well. All right, so take care, and we'll see you all very soon.